previous part, we studied about the vectors and we tried to know a general idea about vectors. We said that vectors are the things which, when operated under certain operations, the resultant thing will also be in the same set as that of the input sets or input values. So what does it mean? It means like the let us suppose that you are working with real numbers and then you add the real numbers and they remain in the real numbers. If you are adding two odd numbers, then the value doesn't remain in the odd numbers and that's why it cannot be treated as a vector. While on the contrary, if you take even number and if you add them up, and the result will remain in the even numbers, and that's why they can be treated as vectors. So the idea is that the two operations, addition and scalar multiplication, are there, and once the vectors are operated with these two things, they remain in the same set, they remain in the same collection, the results remain in the same collection, and this property is called closure property. So closure property, you can see like closure property. So it should remain closed, the things, the resultant value should be closed or should remain in the same set, then it is called vectors. So that is the conceptual definition of vectors, a very generic definition of vectors. Now we are going to look at the real usage of vectors. So real usage of vectors, the first we have seen in the system of linear equations. And what is system of linear equations? Let's try to figure it out with a real example. Let us suppose that a particular company produces some products. Now consider that N1, N2, Nn are certain products that this company produces, and it requires R1 to Rm resources to produce these products. And each jth product, each jth nj product takes aij amount or take aij unit of resource I ri. So it requires aij units of resource ri to produce 1 unit of nj, right? So if that is the case, to ensure that there should be minimum wastage or virtually no wastage, we can try to figure it out how much resource one can be consumed if we want to produce x1 amount of product 1, x2 amount of product 2, x3 amount of product 3, and so on and so forth. So let xj be the number of units produced according to the plan. Now, if it is so, if they are produced according to the plan, then the consumption of resource 1 is like this. So you can see that AI1x1. AI1x1 is ith resource is used, ith product, ith resource is utilized to produce first unit or to produce first product by using AI1 units of ith resource. Similarly, AI2 is the units of ith resource utilized to produce 1 unit of product 2, and so on and so forth. So this is the amount of total amount of resource consumed in producing ith resource consumed in producing x1 amount of resource 1 product 1, x2 amount of product 2, xn amount of product n. So this sum should be equal to the available quantity of resource I. if you want to reduce or if you want to minimize the wastage, then you have to equate, or you have to make that the consumption should be equals to the availability of the resources. Similarly, other equations you can make, and if they can be satisfied on the same values of x1 up to x1, x2, xn, then that particular solution is the one which can do the miracle, which can do the magic, that no wastage will be there and exactly x1, x2, xn amount of the products will be made. So this is the idea of a system of linear equations. Now let us see where or how these equations do work. In our previous classes like 11th or 12th, we have worked with the linear equations, so especially with two variables and three variables. So let us try to see some equations of two variables. When you say that simultaneous set of linear equations, simultaneous system of linear equation, it means that the same values of the variable should satisfy both or all the equalities, all the equations. So these are the equality conditions L1 and L2, and these both should be satisfied with the same value of x1 and x2. If it is so, then we will say that they can be simultaneously satisfied, and that is why we say that simultaneous system of linear equations. Now look at these two particular equations. So x1 plus x2 is equals to 2 and x1 minus x2 is equals to 2. You can see this particular graph. This graph is showing that this L2 is the set of points which satisfies equation number 2, and L1 is the set of points which satisfies equation number 1. Therefore, it is quite easy to understand that the intersection point is the one which satisfies both L1 as well as L2, and we require and we are interested in that particular point, right? So in this particular case we are able to find it out, and it's a pretty easy job that x1 is equals to 1 and x2 is equals to 1 satisfies both the equations, and that's it. Now consider case 2. Case 2 is a little bit a special case. We say that x1 plus x2 is equals to 2 and 2x1 is equals to 4 minus 2x2. Interestingly, if you divide the equation number 2 by 2, then by rearranging the x2 to the left side, we will get the same equation as that of the equation 1, which means you will get the same line for L1 and L2 both. Same line for L1 and L2 both, which means that all the points that are satisfied by equation 1 are also going to satisfy equation number 2. But in that particular case, you have infinitely many solutions, infinitely many possibilities which can work. Also notice, you can particularly notice in the previous case and in this particular case, the ratio of the coefficients of the variables. So in this particular case, you can notice the ratio of the coefficient of x1 is 1 over 2. Ratio of coefficient of x2, if x2 is taken on the same side, so in equation 1 and as in equation 2, if you take on the same side of the equality, then the ratio of coefficient of x2 is again comes out to be 1 over 2, and that of the constant term is also 1 over 2. 2 by 4 is 1 by 2. So if that is the case, then the equality or the same equations appear, so you get the infinite number of solutions. While in the previous case, you can see that the coefficient ratio of x1 is 1, the coefficient ratio for x2 is -1, and that of the constant is 2 over 0 or 0 over 2 you can take basically, which comes out to be 0. So no ratio is equal to any other ratio. Now going to the case 3, where we have equations like x1 plus x2 is equals to 2 and 2x1 plus 2x2 is equals to 5, you can see that if you plot all the points that satisfies equation L1 and equation L2, then you feel that they never get a common solution. They never get intersect, and that's why there is no solution. So in fact we got to know that there are certain cases where the equations may satisfy all possible solution. All solution of one equation 1 also satisfies equation 2. There is a possibility that all solutions of equation 1 never satisfies equations 2, and there is also a chance that if a particular equation is there and it satisfies the only one point satisfies another equation. So we have a unique solution, no solution, and infinitely many solutions case. Here in this particular case also you can notice the ratio of the coefficients. So that comes out to be for x1 is 1 by 2, for x2 is 1 by 2, but for constant terms it is 2 by 5, which is not equals to 1 by 2. So which means you can take a general idea that if all the ratios of variables and the constant term is same, then the solutions will be common. All the solutions will be common. But in case when you have coefficients or the ratio of variables to be same but ratio of constant terms is different, then it is quite possible that you don't get any solution. While on the other case where the ratios do not match, the first case where the ratios do not match, you get a case of very simple or very straightforward. You get a unique solution, you get a one particular intersection point, and that's your case. Okay, so we'll see the same thing in a different light in terms of vectors in the next video.